Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I have not done a sit down video in a really long time. I've been doing just riding videos back to back, and I really wanted to start doing more reviews again, swap some stuff out on my bike, and I just haven't really said a whole lot, and I wanted to start sharing some of that stuff with you guys. But one of the first things that I swapped out on my bike has been the grips. I did it. I bit the bullet and did it. So I was at my local bike shop a couple months ago, Cartecay and Ellijay, and all the guys in the shop pretty much run RevGrips, and they were raving about them, talking about how well they work. And you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I get a lot of hand fatigue. Not so much anymore now that I have my Bronson, and it's of much more slack geometry than my stance was. So it's kind of a different type of hand fatigue I get. They just get really tired and achy when I do really long rides. Whereas my stance, if I would do any downhill runs, really rough terrain, it didn't matter how long the ride was, I would get just a tingly sensation, my hands would go numb. It was not a good thing. So definitely a far cry from where I was with my stance. So I wanted to sit down and make this review, tell you guys my experiences, they work for me. So for starters, I got the Pro Series. They do have another series below this that is a more budget-friendly grip that is $59. That price point, I really feel if you're going to put $60 into a pair of grips, you might as well just go all the way. That way you have the ability to fine tune them to how you want them to feel. You're limited with the budget-friendly version with what all you can do with them. So if you're really looking at these, it's worth the investment just to go ahead all out and get the Pro Series. So RevGrips are a suspension grip, and they're developed to float over your handlebars. So they're not actually coming in contact with your bars. It really helps out with hand fatigue, arm fatigue, and all that stuff, because it's helping to eliminate a lot of the vibration you might feel during riding. So I installed these a long time ago, and I was going to take them off for you guys, but honestly, I have taken these grips on and off so many times that I'm sorry, I'm not taking them off again. I have them tuned to how I like it, and I just don't want to bother with them anymore. I've literally have taken them off so many times, and I won't lie, they're not the most fun to put on, to take on and off and to tune, because it's really annoying. But with the RevGrips, you have the option of running them firm to medium soft to soft. I went through all these, testing them all, and I ended up at soft. That was the one I felt like was the most comfortable. So with running them soft, they do move around a little bit, and that's what a lot of people were really nervous about, is the fact that they do kind of move slightly, and this is how they're supposed to be, this is how they're made, and it is something that you do not notice whatsoever riding, and that's what the guys at the bike shop were telling you too. They're like, you're never going to notice this whatsoever. They're definitely a little bit of a complex grip system to put together. Normally you just pop grips on and you're good to go. This is a little more involved, but looking at the instructions, it's kind of like, what? But I watched a few videos because I'm not really an instructions person. I'd rather just watch videos to watch people do it, and that's what I ended up doing. It's really simple to install. So how it all works is you have these little rubber inserts, which now they've made a different version where it's all in one unit so you can't lose it. That was another complaint that a lot of people were having, was they would take their grips off to tune them, the rubber pieces would fall everywhere, and it was just really annoying. You could lose them, you have to go buy replacement parts and things like that. So a lot of people were really happy when they came out with just the one unit, so you don't have to worry about them falling everywhere. And then you have washers, and the washers vary from thin to thick, and this is what allows you to really adjust the grip to your liking. I had the opportunity to really ride these on everything, every possible kind of terrain imaginable now. Long rides, everything, and I've even ridden them without gloves, and so far, I mean, they're one of the most tacky grips that I personally have ridden. They're very tacky, extremely grippy. So if you are one who doesn't like to wear gloves, you really could get away without wearing gloves with it. My hands tend to always be sweaty, so I'm someone who doesn't really feel comfortable without wearing gloves, but I have, and it felt okay. Still kind of got a little slippery, but nothing like other grips that I've tried out in the past. These I also got in a 34mm, I believe. Previous grips I have ran have been 32mm. I've never had larger grips before, and I don't have small hands, so I decided to give this a try to see how it would feel. I really have preferred the larger size grips. It just feels really nice, especially going downhill. It's just a really comfortable grip for me. So do they actually work? Yes. They definitely work. For me, I would say that it has eliminated maybe 30 to 40% of my hand fatigue. It's definitely not something that has eliminated everything completely. They're probably, honestly, my favorite pair of grips that I put on my bike so far that I've tried out. I really have enjoyed them. I think it does help definitely dampen a little bit, eliminate that fatigue. But like I said, it doesn't completely eliminate it for me. I'm sure it differs from person to person with how it'll affect you and how much it'll help you. But for me, I just found it was kind of in that 30 to 40% that it really helped take it away. I think the biggest difference for me riding these grips versus previous grips that I've ridden is you're not getting all that feedback hitting everything, going down a really rough trail, especially with it having a little bit of movement in it. Like I said, with the movement, it's something you don't even notice riding. So also something to note with RevGrips is you do have to maintain them. You do have to swap out parts eventually on them. RevGrips' point to this is, you know, they say with like any suspension system, you have to maintain it. And they said, you know, the same goes with their grips. The rubber pieces eventually will wear down and you'll have to replace the rubber pieces. You might have to replace washers. I've been riding these for 3 months, so I'm far away from having to replace anything. It'll be interesting to see with how much I ride, how long that'll take before I have to start replacing things on them. So the one thing that I was really kind of hesitant on was, you know, I'm able to look past the price point because I think that they made a really cool product that works and paying for the technology behind it. But the one thing that I was kind of like, is the replacement parts. They're kind of a little bit pricey. I don't know, I just, for what it is, I don't know, I was kind of a little about that. For the clamps, I wanted to swap out the black with gold because that's the kind of color scheme I'm going with my bike. And clamps were $50 something I had to pay, which is, but they do have a program that I did where you can send in your old clamps and then they will refund you, and I think you end up only paying $26, but you still have to pay for shipping, so you're looking at $30 something still. To me, for $30 something, you could absolutely buy a nice pair of grips from another brand. So there's just little pieces like that that I'm like, that were kind of hard to swallow. Replacement parts being one of them that I think was the biggest thing to me. If you're someone who suffers with a lot of hand fatigue, it's definitely something to try out, especially if you do a lot of park days. If you're someone who doesn't really have a lot of hand fatigue or arm fatigue, you know, maybe it's not worth the investment. I think they are great grips aside from that factor, but they might not be worth the money. But I do have to say, these grips do in fact work. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Let me know down below what kind of grips you ride and if you have RevGrips and what your thoughts are on them. And I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye guys.